Okay? Clear? Can I say yes? Okay, good. Okay. So, buying points. There's two ways always to participate. Buying at the breakout of the base or buying at what we call pause days. So the first one is that I'll tackle it really, really quick. Because people always think about buying at the breakout. Okay? Now, if you notice how our initial screening is, did it happen already or not? For initial screening. Nangyari na ba o hindi? Nangyari na. Right? So if you're buying at the breakout, late ka na ba o hindi? Late ka na ba o hindi? Based on our charts. Late ka na kasi nakita mo na eh. Did you guys understand? Okay. So when you're buying at breakouts, the reason why I'd prefer being late than early is because I don't know if it's going to hold or not. And that's the reason why we normally buy during pause days instead of breakouts. Okay? So when you're playing the breakout, don't get me wrong, you can play it if you understand it and if you know what's happening. Okay? But that's not the discussion that I'm going to do for the rest of the afternoon. If you're playing at breakout, the biggest challenge is because it's hard first to define your risk. Why? It's because when it breaks out, what's your cut loss? From 180, 110 nag-breakout, bumibili ka sa 160. Ano cut loss mo? 60 cents? 40% cut loss? Patay ka na nun. Bayan tayo mangyayari yun. Okay? So it's harder to measure your risk and your value at risk if you're buying stocks at the breakout. Okay? Two, you obviously have to be fast and quick, and obviously these are much, much harder to participate in. Okay? So bulk of our discussion will be coming from what we call pause days. Okay? So this is something that we do in every single market that we go through, whether it's Japan, Hong Kong, and US. We're always at the lookout for what we call pause days. So our initial screener is simple. Breakout, price, volume. Madali naman makita yan eh. Okay? When we see those breakouts with price and volume, the first thing that we're looking right after is we're looking for what we call pause days. Okay? So think of it this way. If a stock is up 30% in one day, 30% one day, happy na ba kayo? Hindi. Happy. Bebenta ba kayo? Hindi. Hindi daw. Okay? Maski na hindi ka bebenta, is your urgency to sell high or low? Very high. Up 30-40% in one day. I'm sure the urgency to sell is very high. If all of you, urgency to sell is very high, what should be the price action the following day? It should be down. Correct? Just basic human nature and logic. If a stock is up 30-40% in one day, everybody's urgency to sell is high, that means the stock price the following day should go down. But the next day, it doesn't go down. What does that mean? What does that mean? May bumibili pa ba o hindi? Meron. What about the sellers? Marami o konti? Okay? So it tells you about the nature of the stock, because naturally, when a stock goes up 30-40% in 2 days, the natural reaction is that it should go down. But it doesn't go down. Okay? And these are what we're looking for, because obviously, somebody is still there. Because they're probably, the big whale or whoever is in there is still not selling yet. Bakit? Because I'm sure he knows something else is there. Okay? So what happens during these cases is that when you understand pause days, it actually tells you so much more. Okay? Remember, when we're buying at pause days, when we're buying, the buying is not at the pause day itself. The buying is at the following breakout of the pause days. Okay? So the question first that we're going to be doing is be looking for those pause days first and what they look like. Okay? So the idea about pause days is, one, the ranges are becoming smaller and smaller. And they become approximately less than 25% of the entire up move. So if a stock is up 100%, usually the range becomes smaller and smaller and only range up to 25% of the drop. Okay? Risk is easy to define because when you have your pause days, alam mo na saan yung cut loss mo eh. Maliit na lang. Do you guys understand that? Because you saw already what's happening next and you can already prepare for the worst case scenario when you see your pause days. Okay? And third, the confidence level is very high. Because like what we said, if a stock is breaking out and it's still there, we have to make the assumption that there's still something more to be made. Okay? Because I'll tell you guys, the natural reaction of people is that when a stock is up 30, 40%, sasabihin mo, ay, laki na nilakat, ayoko na yan. Tama ba? Hindi. Natural reaction yan eh. Diba? So when a stock goes from 1 to 5, ayoko niyan, taas na. Pumunta ng 20, ano nangyari? So from 20 to 10, 50% drop, uy, 50% drop, pwede na bumili. Which is actually ironical because on the way down, if a stock is down 50%, may problema na ba yan o wala? Meron na eh. So bumibili ka, may problema na eh. Right? You guys want to be buying on the way to the top because you don't know when it's going to end. And that's why we use pause days for our entry. It's because the pause days will tell us if there is follow-through or not. Make sense at the back? I can't see everybody at the back. Hopefully at the back, it's the light. Okay? So, this is the only setup that I always teach. It comes in different names and different forms. Okay? I've gone through all trading books. I don't read trading books nowadays. The only books I read is about Genghis Khan and all these people who killed the history. Okay? Okay? So if you read trading books, they'll come out around this setup and it's very common. Okay? They have different terms for it. They can call it a slingshot. They can call it a boomer. They can call it a jack-in-the-box. They can call it whatever. Okay? For us, just for name's sake, I'm just going to classify this as a slingshot. Okay? And all of a slingshot is all about just waiting for your ranges to become smaller and smaller. Normally, these ranges happen within 1 to 3 days. Okay? So example, breakout. The next day, pause. Am I looking to buy the next day? Yes or no? Yes or no? Kakasabi ko lang eh. Yes. Okay? If it doesn't break out, another pause day. The following day, am I looking to buy it? Yes or no? Yes also. Third day, pause pa rin. Ayaw umakyat eh. Am I still looking at it the following day? Yes or no? Yes. Okay? So just because at the first pause day, it doesn't go up, it doesn't mean I'm not looking. Second pause day, it doesn't mean it's over. There's a reason why the price is still holding for 1, 2, or 3 days. Because I'm telling you, the longer it stays here, tendency is that price should have gone down already. Make sense? Make sense? Okay? So when we're looking for surges, we're looking for pause days after. Normally it has from 1 to 3 days. So it can look like a doji. It's the first stick on the left, the one in the middle, and the one on the right. You can look at any forms of these. Okay? So what we're doing is that we're waiting for doji or any of these setups to happen. Okay? So that we can buy on the follow-through day or on the confirmation. Okay? Third is that volume, when you're breaking out and the ranges and the pause days are happening, normally the volume on the pause day is also becoming smaller and smaller. Why? It's because those who wanted to sell, sold. That's why the volume becomes smaller and smaller the following 1 to 3 days. Is that clear? Okay? And last but not the least, the risk is at the small range or the low of the small range. Okay? And last is that we'll talk about VAR for a bit, and it's the last thing that I will talk about. If there's anything that you forget, let's say, nalimutan mo kung ano yung tsura ng post day, nalimutan mo lahat, please, the only thing you do not forget is VAR at the bottom. And I'll explain it at the end. Okay? But please, if you forget anything, just remember the funny-looking 3-letter word, VAR, value at risk. Okay? So again, breakout, ranges becoming smaller. Okay? Because after this huge run-up from 1 to 2 pesos, this should have gone down a lot. But the price and the ranges are now becoming smaller and smaller. So when we see breakouts from the initial reaction kanina, we're looking for what we call pause days or entry points for us to enter the stock. We're not buying it at the pause day. Please guys, let's be clear. I'm not buying it at the pause day. I'm buying it at the break of the pause day. Okay? So if you're not clean, ganito lang yan. Pag di mo feel, let's say alanganin ka, hindi ka sure. Best thing to do, don't do anything. Okay? If you're not sure if it's a pause day, don't do anything. Okay? Remember, we're only looking for clean and good and easy money. We're not here to make our lives difficult. If you're not sure in the first place, please don't do it. Okay? So, again, breakout, ranges becoming smaller. Do you guys see it on the one on the top? Okay? Breakout, and then you start to see ranges even for one day. And then another one, after a breakout, you'll start to see ranges become smaller and smaller. Do you guys see it? It becomes smaller and smaller. And they happen so often that even on the following, after that pause, they break out, and then another pause happens. Those are still the same slingshots and characterizations that we have. Okay? So these are what we're looking for. Breakouts, surges, these are the initial reactions, and then what we're waiting for is just your pause days for us to enter. Make sense?